Cash, by the way, opening with Farseer Headhunters. This is not really what most top orcs are playing. Most top orcs are playing Blade and Wyvern. Happy scouting things out early. He's going for the ghoul build. This is the most flexible build. If you're sure your opponent is playing Wyvern, then Tet Fiends might be the better option to get faster Fiends out for a good counter with anti-air web. But it's very slow out the gate. The Tet Fiend opening, the ghoul opening will always be able to creep fast if necessary. Can always pivot into some kind of a transition that might be required. Whereas the Tet Fiend build seems to be a lot more rigid. Happy giving the rest of the camp here with the ghouls. Is he going for the green camp in the middle? Looks like he is. These unique green camps in the middle, seemingly extremely popular. Thank you, Smokin' Now, with the resub as well. I've been wondering, by the way, one of these Watch Elementals can bash, but I never see it happen against heroes. Can he only bash against units and summons? Is that like a specialty ability? I'm gonna have an eye on that in the future. Every time, looking if heroes can get bashed, because I feel like I've never seen it. Happy with a good item start over here. Claws and gloves, very nice. Farseer, double ring. Well, that's not good for him, but it's gonna be great for a TC later, if you can hold on to them for as long. Happy scouting for expos, trying to play it safe. Landing some surrounds here against the headhunters would be pretty big as well. One of them very hurt already. One more hit and a coil to lead to the kill. Happy thinking about getting in with the ghouls, but... oh, almost a 4-point surround right there. And the headhunters are having a rough one. It's going to be another kill. 2 kills for nothing so far. Very good start for Happy out the gate. And not what Cash was bargaining for. The kobolds can bash heroes. Yes, that's true. That is true. We have seen many funny moments, actually, with kobold bashes. One game of Star-Shaped on Amazonia comes to mind, where he lost the demon and lost the game because of permabash. I'm surprised to see Happy playing this aggressively. Normally, as the Undead playing DK, you're always happy to trade experience. Normally, it's the Orc having to play aggressive, having to slow down the Death Knight. I wonder why Happy is so intent on fighting on level 2. He could have crept until level 3, maybe even level 4. Imagine that. Imagine a fast level 4 DK heading towards the mid and late game. Would be terrifying for the Orc. Maybe Happy's mostly concerned about Orc Expo. Maybe he feels like as long as Cash doesn't get away with a sneaky expansion to give him a big lead, then he doesn't even need high levels. He's just going to outclass him in the late game. Maybe that's the thinking here. Got a Dark Ranger second. Very good against Headhunters. A pivot into Wyvern would now be amazing. That's something that Lin played in the past. A couple of Headhunters baiting out a Wyvern and then going... baiting out a Dark Ranger and then going Wyvern. But very few orcs try to do this. It's not easy to do. You have to play very passive. You got to be very careful. You're going to have no map control for a long time. Wouldn't Farseer grunts be better? Not really. Unless your name is Razorman, then probably you think the answer is yes. But, no. Grunts are just kind of bad, to be honest. They're not good early game, they're not good late game. They're easy to make, and they don't cost lumber. But they're, I would say, pretty bad. When you're playing against Fiends, there might be an argument for grunts with normal damage. But against ghouls, I don't think so. Good chain lightning here, securing the last hit. Oh, Happy has an early ward of negation. Ooh, I love that. To save a ghoul right here. Wand of negation nowadays, a lot worse against summons because it has a longer cooldown. But against disables like Hex or Entangle or whatever, can be really good. I think especially against Hex, it's very good these days. Happy's playing so aggressive. He could just be creeping, but he's not doing it. And especially with the Dark Ranger, you can creep so well. Oh, got the last hit there. And again, Wand of negation. Heal scroll committed. Saving one headhunter here. Ooh, almost losing it actually. Last charge of the Wand of negation. Now Happy can't save those ghouls too easy. There's going to be another Hex ready in a little bit. We got statues out now as well. Lich on the way. Frenzy in research. I gotta say I'm quite puzzled. Happy could have crept this camp easy and then this and then this and then... Oh, there was a pause and some people lagged out. I think Happy could have crept the entire bottom right. If he had just gone there with the Dark Ranger. I do find that a bit puzzling. Normally, the higher the levels go, the better it is for the Undead. Lich brings in the orb. I like the one wyvern. Not easy to deal with without web. TP out. One loss on the berserker, but he got the camp. He got the item. What was it? Quilthala's boots. Alright. It's decent, I guess, for the Shadowhunter. And he kept the rings for the TC. I like that a lot. Please don't sell them now. And he won't. Happy now creeping up a little bit. Heal potion is good. Got a heal scroll as well. And there's no reinforced defenses. Uh-oh. Those burrows in serious trouble. TC greets the Undead army first. Doesn't have a stomp though. At the moment only a glorified orb carrier. I mean aura carrier. Okay, one burrow falls. TC doesn't have the rings yet, by the way. Pretty frail. Another skelly snowball might begin. That's always the scary thing for orcs. That's why many orcs play Mass Wyvern. Because of the danger of Dark Ranger. This unassuming looking lady, she has been the biggest problem for orcs now for many years. Any kind of a ground army seems to get countered by the Dark Ranger. And look at all these skellies out already. One engagement and Happy now finds himself far, far ahead. He doesn't have really crazy hero levels, only 322. Shout out to Solo. Because he didn't creep much in the early game, there was lots of harass. But this is a dominant showing by Happy, no question about it. Not sure if it's 100% optimal to play that aggressive against the orc creeping in the mid game. But the execution, we certainly cannot question. Farseer goes down, 11-minute game, and Happy closes it in convincing fashion. When the Blade Master, triple hero, seemed to look so dominant, the big crits, tearing the Undeads apart, we're done to playing Fiends. Fiend-based armies. They're taking a passive approach, trying to drag out the game, save with coils, frost armor, and so on. Over many years, even decades, Undeads realized that they need to bring their own power, their own damage, their own threats to this matchup with Frenzy Ghouls. And with Frenzy Ghouls, you can threaten that Blade Master way more. Happy using the Scout here as distraction. Acolyte goes down, but denied the experience. And so the Farseer takes a long time to actually get out on the map. Happy would love to creep this shop first. If the Farseer goes here or sends a wolf here, you should be able to see it though. Oh. Big creep attempt by Happy. This would be a classic special Remo creep route right here. It's a bit risky, but with the Acolyte Scout, there is some security in it. And it's a circlet right away, which is wonderful. Or might I say, grande. Hey Remo, I heard a lot about the era where orcs dominated Undead. Can you explain why? I'm kind of new to Warcraft. Yeah, this was especially the case before 2011. Back then, Undead seemed not even competitive on the top level. And especially against Orc, they had seemingly zero chance. It was like 70-30, maybe. Roughly speaking. Back then, Ensnare was stronger. That was the big one. And also, Undead was playing Tet Fiends all the time. Tet Fiends or Fiend Opening. Undead didn't play Ghouls. Didn't realize yet how strong Ghouls were. Ghoul Frenzy might have also been buffed later. I'm not sure about that. And also, Blade Master had 2 more agility right out the gate. So it had to do with balance, but it also had to do with meta understanding. I'm sure if Undeads had realized back then already how good a Ghoul opening can be, they would have been way more successful. I'm sure of it. Playing Fiends is just not the right thing to do against the Blade Master. Unless there's Wyvern, of course.
A player's forces are under attack.
Ghouls were garbage back then, says Chechi. That's not really true though, especially early game. Back then, early game ghouls were better than now. Attack speed on tier 1 ghouls is worse now than it used to be. Undeads just didn't realize how good they were. How good they could be. Also, they didn't realize how well you could creep with them, how well you could keep them alive if you micro them perfectly. Fiends are just a lot easier to micro early game. But late, more difficult to micro late game, probably. He has a quick level 3 over here. Oh, can't quite kill the Makrura. Slightly out of range. And the Chain Lightning secures it. There were many Undeads, especially Germans, who tried ghouls, but no success. Yes, like I said, you have to play them really well. That's also a big point of why Undead was less successful back then than it is now. If you look at tournament-winning Undeads, it's still only 2. It's Happy and 1-0, and nobody else. Labby sometimes gets close, but he doesn't win the tournaments. And he got so good, learning from Happy and 1-0. The level of play has increased insanely. And many pro players say that Undeads is the hardest race to play, including Infi. And back then, the level of play was just not high enough to play Undead at the top level that is required to be successful. Perhaps even with ghouls. I'm not sure. Not sure if ghouls or fiends are the harder thing to play. That's up to interpretation. But you put a top Undead from now in 2009, playing modern builds with ghoul openings, I'm sure they would do a million times better. Ensnare used to be so much stronger. Just think about how crazy it is. 15 to 12 seconds. Yeah, Ensnare really, really good against Fiends. But Ensnare also way worse against Ghouls. Against Ghouls, you don't actually want to make any Raiders. Raiders are a grief against Ghouls. Oh, Hex trying to kill some units over here. One Ghoul went down. We have the Wand of Negation again. That Ghoul, though, is dead regardless. So Happy lost 2 Ghouls in this early game. I got a bit sidetracked. We talked about some other things. There's actually a big supply lead on cash. Wait, was this more than 2 Ghoul losses? Did I miss something here? This game doesn't seem to be looking too bad for cash.
A player's forces are under attack.
How many hit points do ghouls have? 340. I think that was never changed. They always had 340. The thing is, people used to think ghouls were bad because they have low HP and they're easily killed. But over the years, the top undeads realized how to utilize them. And it took a long time for them to realize how well you can creep with them early. The important thing with ghouls is you need to know their strengths and weaknesses. They're amazing for creeping early with them, especially if you can micro them well. Also, if you can surround well, or threaten surrounds at least, then mid-game you have to pull them back, keep them passive, and then on tier 3, again, with Frenzy, they have another power spike. Then later on, they're going to get weaker and weaker depending on what army you're facing. But yeah, I think Undead just for a long time didn't really understand how to properly utilize ghouls, with also this excellent of execution that only 1-0 and Happy were truly able to bring. It's not top undeads, it's Happy that realized it. That's not exactly true. Of course, Happy has been the most successful undead since 2016, 17. Clearly, best undead of all time, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear. But there was a window before. Don't know if you guys were here. But in 2015, 1-0 started winning tournaments with Undead. 2015, 16, that's before Happy really took part in the Chinese competitions. 1-0 first showed what is possible. Happy then took it a step further and perfected it and did even better and was even more successful. Oh, first hit Purge and became the even better Undead. Oh, that's a huge Purge, by the way. That Destroyer goes down quickly. The Wolves can now not be dispelled. The Fascia really strong on level 4. Doesn't have too much mana anymore, however. TC, no Stomp to use. I'm not sure if the Aura first is the perfect call right here. Both players suffering a bunch of losses, but the great thing for Undead is always, you're gonna get more and more units, or at least more and more summons from getting kills. Dark Ranger is aiming for the Headhunters one by one. Almost no units left between the two players, mostly now about heroes. Here's another Destroyer, though, against the Wolves. Look at those Skellies. Those damn Skellies! They're so hard to deal with! I keep wondering if Orcs shouldn't be going Taurens and Walkers. Taurens and Walkers would both be amazing against Skellies and Ghouls. But the problem is, if you go Taurens and Walkers, then how do you deal with Destroyers? Ideally, you would like to have a Tauren Walker plus Berserker army. But that seems to be very, very hard to accomplish. If you have two bases, of course, it's easy. But on one base, resources are scarce.
Players' forces are under attack.
Happy now feeling far enough ahead for an expansion. That seems to be absolutely in the cards. He was struggling with low experience here for a while. But Dark Ranger 3 is going to be a huge level up. Nova right now looking invitational? Inviting on those Berserkers. Going to be one kill right away. And there is the Dark Ranger 3. And that is oftentimes the knockout blow for the Berserker strategy. Shadowhunter dying isn't a good sign either. He's gonna fall. Unlike the Destroyers, there's a Mana Stone and more coils, and Happy's gonna close it out. Basically the same game length. 11 minutes, 12 minutes. Once again, for Happy to clean up the first best of 3.